Hello, hello. I am coming to you from Deutschland, per usual. And for some reason, we have experienced summer, winter, fall, all in the same day. So it's been pretty interesting. We had a pretty aggressive snowstorm last night and then on and off today as well. So I'm not 100% sure how I'm supposed to get through the spring here. It's very strange. Oh, we have a request. There we go. Come on. We have a very special live today for you. It's all about finding jobs abroad, making a transfer. There she is.
Hi, is
Hello.
it working?
Yes, it is. Do not panic. I know it's your first live.
All right.
You're doing great, sweetie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I miss the UK. I want to be vaccinated like you guys.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know when I'm getting vaccinated. Sorry, I'm gonna make this a little bit louder because I'm a little deaf.
Yeah. So you're not in line yet? It's like my boss has been vaccinated, my colleagues have already.
Honestly, no idea. I moved during the pandemic, so I just realized I had to switch my GP.
Oh
So
no.
I'm on an online one now, and I'm hoping that they'll just kind of tell me when I'm ready. I heard from a lot of people they get a text or some sort of mail when it's ready, but I'm a little further down the line compared to everybody else age-wise, so
Mm,
I
mm.
guess that's a good thing, and I'm healthy.
True. Hashtag
Yeah,
blessings.
yeah, it's not a bad thing, but there's definitely I know a lot of other people who have like more kind of health problems. They've already gone through and gotten their first one, so it's great for them. So yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I might just swim over there and go to my GP and get my vaccination because I actually have asthma, so I don't even have to lie. I qualify. But we ran out of vaccines over here in Germany, so I don't really know what we're gonna do.
Well, the latest is I hear their first is complete, second one in a week. Yeah. I know for some people I don't know. I it's hard to follow the news right now because they're saying like
Mm,
then it goes okay, it's not okay. Blood cuts, not blood cuts. They just like Moderna just came over here, so
mm.
whenever it's ready, I'm ready for it whenever it's ready. I'm hoping it's by June at least, but I'll take what I can get. So
Me too at this point. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Denise. Could you give a little intro about who you are, what you do, and what your Instagram is about?
sure. So hi everybody, my name is Denise. I am a first generation Filipino American from Los Angeles, like Vanessa. Um, by day, I work in consulting. I'm a operational excellence, customer experience, process excellence, basically business performance improvement consultants. I help businesses with just kind of how do you improve and become more efficient, effective, and also reach your customers better. So I moved over to London 4 years ago through my company where I was working from in LA, and yeah, have been here for the last 4 years, have been loving it. And when I moved over, I had a personal Instagram that I was sharing a lot of my travels and stuff with, and then over the years it had kind of changed it into a lot more on kind of travel content creation. I have a blog, it's called Denise Cass, where I share a lot about travel tips, inspiration, and helping people try, see how you can travel, well, explore London and the world around a 9 to 5. There's a lot of people right now, and there's nothing wrong with it. I wish I could do that, where you could be the digital nomad living wherever and quit your job and,
Mm,
you know, um, and kind of travel the world. It's not for me. I quite
mm,
like life in London. I like being based here. So me being based here means I need a visa to stay here. But it gives me a lot more access and stuff. So, but I do want to show that it's possible to live the life that you want. And be able to have even like those micro adventures, even if it's and I like the term micro adventures because it doesn't mean that just because you're not traveling, you're not exploring or experiencing things. So I very much try to encourage as much as I can. A lot of my content recently, being a travel content creator in a pandemic, has been a little bit more of here are things to inspire you and
mm,
recent. with April still coming, and I'm very excited because I just can't wait to eat out again.
I know.
It's really been like, all right, where are places we can eat, where are places we can drink, where are places I just had a new reel series this last couple weeks on places in the UK that look like abroad, and and it's actually gotten pretty big, and a lot of it was really just me knowing that this year too, I'm in the process of renewing my visa. So whenever you're in a visa renewal process, you're kind of a little stuck and you don't know how long it's actually going to take for you to get your approvals. So between that and the pandemic, I was like, okay, well, it's going to have to be domestic travel at least through the summer when it's allowed. So where are places that I can go that makes me feel like I'm somewhere else, even though I can't? And it seems like a lot of people have enjoyed it. Some people maybe not, but you can't please
Well, I'm currently being trolled on TikTok by hundreds of people at the moment. So I empathize on the not liking my content. People on the internet are mean. Like, we
yeah.
just, out of the kindness of our hearts, to like just do something fun that we enjoy, and people will literally sit there, shit all over your hopes and dreams with no profile picture, no followers, no content.
Oh, absolutely. And it's and I could tell there's a certain demographic of individuals that I will not name names on that love to kind of, crap on your stuff. But at the end of the day, I was like, look, the internet's a place of fun. If you want to be negative, be negative. My spot is my spot. I'm happy to share it. And what I try to focus on, especially after like years of being online and having to deal with that stuff, and it does affect your like mentally, especially like, do you still continue to do that? I think for me, I love when I get the message from people that like, wow, they really like the content that I'm doing, or like these last couple of weeks I've gotten like really great suggestions from people of, oh, have you tried out this place, or can you share this place? Like, I think more people actually need to know about it, which I think is really fun, because it's making other people excited. It makes me excited to find out somewhere new. There's always those people who are like, don't tell it because it's like like we want to keep the secrets, but I'm like, at the same time, like, if you really want to figure out something or find something, you're gonna find it. So
where there's a will, there's a way, especially when it comes to Instagram. Well, let's dive into your 9 to 5, because I actually really agree with you. I am not a digital nomad. I have no desire to be. I love my job. Maybe I take on too much trying to make Wander Onwards work while I'm doing the 9 to 5. But that's fine. It's just an expression of my trauma. So tell us how you started your journey, and how did you find London, or that transfer, or what really kicked it off for you?
Yeah, so I started off my career in consulting right out of university. I started off in like accounting, internal audit. Don't know why I did that. No, it's nothing that great, but it's really good learning experiences. So over the years, I kind of have found a little bit of my niche from business. I really love learning about business, how businesses operate, how they work, how I can help them be better. Because I think for a period of my life, I had to review these businesses and say like, well, this is not working, this is not working, this is not working. Where half the time I really just was like, can I just help you fix it? Or here are ways I can help you fix it. So by trade and over time, I got my project management professional certificate, and that one completely fit my personality. I'm definitely like an organizational freak when it comes to work, and like, I love to have like a timeline, structure, all that stuff, and I actually, that's helped me as a content creator, because it's allowed me to really strategize better ways of how I can make content for myself, but also how I can make content for the brands that I work with too, and also making sure that all gets done timely and is on schedule. So yeah, over the years I did that, but then like anybody who is in their 20s and working with a dog in corporate, after a while you burn out. I was working well over 80 hours a week a lot of the times, and my weekends. And great, I was living the lifestyle. Like, I was traveling lots. I had my condo in LA. Like, I had done all of the things that you were supposed to do. Like, had the successful job, did this. worked out, tried to do like everything to the point where I was just like, I feel like I'm done. I need a change. And I was like, something's not working for me. So time I was in the midst of like this big burnout that was like starting, like I could feel it coming and it was happening. I there was an email that came out because I was really thinking about just getting a new job. I was like, maybe I just need to go into industry. Maybe I just need to like I was thinking about moving out to like San Francisco, which I don't know if I was actually going to do that, moving to like a different city for a change of pace because I had been in LA for so long. So I wanted something a little bit different. And around that time, there was an email that went through at work about that they've opened up this opportunity for global secondments. So it kind of like serendipitously happened around the time, like looking for it. So the available like countries where they were offering positions at the time were Japan, Australia, and London in the UK. Japan would have been great, but it was out of the picture because I don't speak Japanese. And I was like, so that was that. It was really like Australia and London. But around that time, I feel kind of like, not sure. Like, let me just figure it out. But I think the reason I ended up choosing London over Australia, because Australia is still a dream place I want to go to, was one, it was closer enough that if anything happened family wise, it was easier for me to get home. Like the flights are a lot more regular. You can get there within at least 10 to 12 hours. Like, because I had, my family members are a little bit older. Just wanted to like have that comfort. If I really needed to be back for an emergency, I can make my way over without too much of a problem, and it wouldn't be as much money. But really what it came down to was the travel opportunities, and also the travel opportunities personally, like based in London, and having that as a really good hub to be able to travel affordably to all these places in Europe, but then also to the career aspects, because the industries and the opportunities here from a work perspective just fit really well for me. It's still very much growing in my office in London. So it's good because I'm kind of helping build parts of that from a business piece. But like if I went to Australia, like I would have to be the one trying to spearhead a lot of it. So I wanted something where they had a base, but I knew I could work with it a little bit and grow into it. So I was pretty strategic on that from like a career front, but also a personal front as well.
And what about the like logistics of applying for a secondment? So did you just get given it because it's an open opportunity? Did you have to apply? What does this look like?
Yeah, so and my situation was a little bit different from other people I know who came in after me. So there's the good thing with my work here is there's a lot of expats at my office, and a lot of them are friends. So like I kind of was in this in between thing, so I could talk a little about what I did and what kind of work, what ended up happening for them. So basically what it started off was when I made the decision, and there's a different story where I made the decision after a solo trip to Korea, because I was like, I'm ready, I'm gonna go do it. But after I got back, I basically had calls with two of my main bosses who I worked with. One was my main boss who I worked with, the other one was like the head of our office who I worked with quite a lot, and just talked to them to say, hey, like I'm thinking about applying for this. I just want to know if I can get your support. Because at the end of the day, like I think it's really important that people think about too, is like, especially if it's an internal transfer, like the goodwill of the work that you've done, people supporting you and people vouching for you takes you so far. And like, even though you still have to rebuild your career a little bit when you move to a new office, like you're not starting from ground zero, you have like a basis you can work with. So yeah, talk to them first, and then talk to my HR person, which is like, hey, like this is what I want to do. But yeah, she basically took my resume, my CV, emailed it to the HR person who was in London at the time, because they were both really good friends and had worked with each other transfers before. And she just kind of sped me through the process, through this process that wasn't really through the official process.
Amazing.
Yeah, so through the official process is you fill out some paperwork, you fill out an application, you have to talk through all the people, fill out an application, it goes through, and you're kind of on this like wait list for a little bit, and then they do considerations within there, and then you do an interview. So I kind of they just took my CV. I didn't have to fill all this paperwork, and then ended up into the interview, which was just an hour call, not even an hour call, but it was just like, oh, so what's your interest in like moving to London? Like, and they kind of know. I think the good thing when it's an internal secondment and you're transferring within a company, it's not questions on what your abilities are, but more so like, well, where are you trying to get out of your time there, and where are you going to help like support the growth of that office? So I was very particular in like how I was answering those questions, because I knew that it's what they were looking for. Versus I know if you are somebody who was, applying to a corporation in the UK and trying to apply, a lot of it's like, well, this is my skill set, this is what I bring to the table. They kind of know I'm bringing to the table. It's more of, but what else are you really going to bring in besides like you're a person who can do this work? So yeah, so that's kind of what the process was for me. Is I found out I had a little bit of a different time scale from others, because I had to kind of get my whole life sorted. I had to get I had to get a lot of things like fixed up in my condo before I can move out. Like I had to get light fixtures, air conditioning, all that stuff that I kind of like just let it go, because I was traveling so much, it didn't matter for me to get some of that stuff fixed. So yeah, so I got my offer letter in June. I actually got my offer letter a week after Brexit. So that was like its own.
And you're like, oh, maybe I should have gone to Australia.
Yeah, like as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, like the conversion on my salary was insane.
Yeah.
Now, but it was one of those things I was like, maybe I should think about this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I ended up moving over in January the following year. So I know in 3 months, or like in a very like closer amount of time. I just personally need a little bit more time.
Could we touch on the salary thing real quick? Because a lot of my Americans are looking at their international salaries and being like, this is not enough to live. I can't possibly get by on this. But as someone who made $18,000 a year in China, I survived for 2 years just fine. So it's a little bit different. How was your experience with the lower salary abroad?
It was tough. It was tough more so because I also had some other debt and stuff, like other financial issues that was happening in the US around the same time. So it made me kind of rethink things. But I think you get savvy and you kind of figure out what works for you. So for me, when I moved over here, I lived with roommates. I didn't mind living with roommates, because honestly, like I wasn't like, I mean, in a non-pandemic world, I wasn't in my flat a lot. Like I was out and about, or I was traveling. So I just needed a place to like hold my stuff. So, you find better ways to like cut down on costs for there, and you kind of learn. And I've always kind of been the type of person that was like, even when you treat it as if like you're at any point in time, like no matter what salary you're making, like I still try to like think about, well, what was life like when I first graduated from college? Like I was still trying to save a ton of money. I was still trying to do all these things. So I never got out of that mentality of like saving or budgeting my money. So that's one. I think, yeah, like cost of living is expensive, but also cost of living in LA is expensive. Like you're paying for you have car insurance, car payments, gas. Gas is like what, $30-$40 a week maybe, and I drove a Prius. So like I drove a Prius. Gas was like $30-$40 a week. So like and that's because the nature of my job, I was driving a lot to a ton of different places. So, or if I wasn't flying somewhere. So I think it's just, for me, it's assessing what works for you. Like you can live side of, it's very easy to fall into living above your means. And I do, like, I'm definitely one of those, yeah, treat yourself. I had a really tough week. Like, I'm going to get like the bottle of wine that I wanted, or treat myself to like, a new bag after like I had a really great like year at work or something like that. But it's also prioritizing, I guess, what works for you. And I think for me, like I definitely prioritize travel. And I think with, for me, weighing that life where I was traveling and doing weekend trips, once a month, like I had to budget it. So I certainly could make it work. you just have to be smart about it.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. I still live on my normal London budget. Like when I was making 33,000 pounds a year, I had about 2,000 take home cash after tax, and I lived on a 1,500 pound budget every single month. And so now that I earn more money and still use the same budget, that has been like the deciding factor in all my like financial success this year. And it was
mhm,
thanks to London crushing me constantly.
yeah.
So shout out to London. But we have a question in the chat. What did you say in the interview that potentially differentiated yourself from other internal applicants, or anything else that you might recommend to someone who's applying internationally for the first time?
Sure. I think for me, a lot of it was my technical capability. So,
Mm,
a very unique individual who I had the internal audit background, but
mm,
I also had this like business transformation background, and I had worked in both for several years. So their business transformation team was also quite small in the
mm,
at the time. Like it was all of 5 people. So they
mhm,
were looking for like they needed some of that headcount a little bit, but I was going over from an internal audit piece. But at the time, the office was still small enough that they were just like share all the consultants, share all the managers, whatever projects needed, like they just work on. So I highlighted the fact that I had the capability to do both types of projects. I
mm,
fact that I had, credentials in project management, and I was a very strong project manager, which, there are people who say they can manage, and there's a lot of people who say that or have manager titles, and they're not actually good managers. So,
yeah.
um, but I definitely try to highlight kind of those things within there, because especially when it's an internal transfer,
Mm,
technical capability and what makes you stand out. It's what gives you the seat at the table. I'd say if you weren't, and I think that still applies to when you're applying for like a new job as well. Your experience is really what's going to take you somewhere, but also too, I think also talking about your ambitions to grow into other areas, whether it's growing a piece of the business for them, but also
mm,
or also like growing yourself in these skills that will align with the company.
mm,
And it always has to go. I think the key thing for that from an interview perspective is like, how does it align with what they want to do at the end of the day? Like, yes, you're advocating for yourself, but it's what do they need?
mhm.
So
I think there's also a level of creativity that you need to bring to the interview, because I don't have the technical like certifications that you do, but I've somehow made myself move forward in the world in different
mhm.
countries, and it's because of that creative different background. So in interviews, I don't hesitate to talk about my time in China, my time in the UK. I try to make myself stand out as an applicant because I know I lack some of the formal qualifications. And that seems to carry me all right, at least I think it does, through my career so far.
Yeah.
Um,
And again, like for me, like 'cause I work projects, so specific project experience, like I'll pull from like I won't pull from just one project. I'll pull different things from different projects because I know that like one skill set I did here will match, but then a different one over here might match too. So it's kind of
mhm,
looking at, and that's the same as when you're looking at a job application. They have the
mhm,
list, and you're like, okay, well, do I tick at least like 3/4 of the or 2/3 of the boxes that they have, or can
mhm.
I speak to it if they ask me about those questions? And that's basically how I kind of approached it.
Mhm. Also, I think keyword search is super important if you're
Yeah.
applying to new jobs, and it's just a cold application. So
Hmm.
look at the job description, like Denise mentioned. Make sure you can kind of do the job, and then pull the keywords that they specify and put it into your resume in a coherent, believable way.
Yeah.
Like if they're asking for SQL experience and you don't know SQL, but you have some other keywords that you do understand and can relate to somehow, pull the words around SQL, and maybe the keyword search will pick up your CV and you'll get more than 2 seconds in front of the interviewer, or not the interviewer, the recruiter. Or maybe your CV just won't get put in the trash. It's late here. My English is suffering. Uh, we have another
No,
question.
because
Um,
my I
mhm,
was gonna say
sorry.
like learning SEO and learning about keyword research in the last like year and a half, like that wasn't really a thing when I was applying, but like me knowing what that is now, I was like, because it's how I think about that too when I have to interview people and like this is the job spec, like what can you do? And if they're not even like trying to hit some of the key, like some of those buzzwords, it's hard for me to say like, well, I can't say that you fit because you couldn't even try to hit the words. So
Absolutely. We have another question. Did you have a visa to work in London before you applied for the job, or did you have to take time to apply for the visa once you were offered the new job in London?
okay, that's a great question. So the visa process for me occurred when I was still in LA. So my company did it on my, because I have sponsorship through work. They did it on my behalf. So they processed everything. I had to fill out all these forms. The forms take ages because you have to like go through and add in like the places, like all the places you traveled to in the last 10 years. And 10 years is a long time. Like I had traveled places when I was like a kid. So yeah, fitting all that in was quite interesting. But and then yeah, sent my passport through, got all that stuff. So you have a specific date that you're allowed to like enter the country. And I worked with my firm and it was an American company. Sorry, I should clarify that. Yeah, I work for I work for a US headquarter company, but they're international. So they have offices all over the world. So I think that's also a good consideration too, from a job perspective, if you're looking to move abroad or maybe look to use an internal transfer to go abroad, is to make sure that, sorry, they have offices in other places that would allow for that. So, but yeah, with the visa process, it all happened for me well before I knew what dates, because basically they asked for what date will you be flying in. And that kind of said like your visa date starts on that date. And then so I flew out the day before, did an overnight flight, arrived on the day that my visa started. And when you go in, you bring all this paperwork, and then they put like a sticker in to be like, you're allowed to, this is like your point of entry. And then I had to go and pick up what they call a BRP. So it's a residency card. So it's basically your permit to be in the UK. So it's basically like I don't carry it with me everywhere because it's if you lose that,
you're screwed.
I had a colleague who like lost hers in Rome, and she just was like, I was like, how did you even get home? And and she's one of my really good friends. So it's just like, but yeah, like it took her like a month to get a new one just because she was like, and it affected her work too because she was supposed to travel for work and then she couldn't. So it was kind of a bit of a no-no, but that's fine. Like things happen, but I'd say like, so I definitely carry that like with my passport anywhere I'm traveling, and kind of or if I have to go to like anything kind of official, to have that as like my identification. So
yeah, I did the same. So for my German visa, you actually can't get it in the country, or sorry, outside of the country. You do your entry visa outside of Germany in your home country or your country of residence, and then that gets you into the country and starts the 90-day timer. And within those 90 days, you have to register with the police, you have to open a bank account, you have to start your health insurance, and then you can go get your official work or family visa once you're in here. And this is how I almost got screwed, because with COVID, there were no appointments. So I was only able to get an in-person appointment 2 days before my entry visa expired. And if I didn't get my full visa on that day, they would have sent me home or something. I don't really know, but it was stressful, but we did it. We're here, we're fine.
Yeah. Visa stress is really great. Like I had a couple of friends last year who were renewing their visas in the middle of the pandemic, and one of my girlfriends, like hers expired, and she's like, her literally got stuck. Like she couldn't leave because we were at one point we were allowed to travel and we had booked a trip, and she literally couldn't leave because her application was still stuck, and she couldn't they were so backlogged an appointment, she couldn't get an appointment. Do her biometrics to like process it through. She ended up getting it like at the end of the day, but it was just kind of like, it is stressful if you don't, especially at that time, like it was just, they just shut down, and then like all these people who are just kind of sitting there like, well, legally I'm still allowed to be here, but like stuck and like don't really know if like what people are going to do. So
Yeah, for sure. It really makes you empathize with like other immigrants all over the world because it is hard to be an immigrant. We call ourselves expats because that's better for SEO, but at our core, we are all
yeah.
immigrants trying to do our best out here.
Yeah, and I think definitely say like I use the term like I claim the expat title, and the reason I do that is because I'm here through work. Like my visa is tied through work. I'm not, there might be a point in time. I'm not gonna like count my chickens before they hatch or whatever that term is, but like
Yeah.
I think there might be a time where I decide that well, we're switching my visa now to actually allow me to accumulate time that allows for leave to remain. So that means
Amazing.
that means I could potentially stay. But again, like who knows what the world will be like if I'll want to be a couple years, if my partner will want us to settle here, if he's looking for us to move wherever. Like I don't try to be set in those plans, but as soon as it becomes very clear that I am here to stay forever and ever and ever, and I'm legally going through that process, like I very much wouldn't. I don't think I would still claim the expat title because at that point I was like, well, I'm trying to stay here, so I am an immigrant. It's just a different. I'm like a true immigrant in that sense. So.
Well, you're always an immigrant in my heart. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Denise, for coming to the end of our live. Can you remind everyone where they can find you and let people know if you have a big product or project dropping soon?
Yeah, so you can find me on It's Denise Cass. My surname is very long in Hispanic, so that's why it's Denise Cass and not my full name. You can find me on Instagram at It's Denise Cass. I also have a website, denisecass.com. I've been very active on TikTok lately, so if you're into that, I'm there. A lot more raw, not as made up, which has kind of been a fun thing for me. But yeah, currently right now on my website, if you are in the UK or if you're looking to visit in the UK, I am offering up a free. I basically created a Google map of outdoor dining and drinks places in London just because my list was getting too long. I need to visualize. So I've kind of put it up there. There's a free map. If you go on click on the link in bio, you can get access to it. You just enter in your email and they'll send you the link for that automatically because I was getting too many DMs. It was hard to manage. So I just wanted to automate that process.
Love it.
Yeah, like the easiest way to kind of check out if I have any new projects or stuff coming out is going to be through my Instagram. So yeah, come say hi. Happy to talk all things travel, working, moving over, tips and tricks. Always happy to help.
Well, we appreciate it so much from the whole Wander Onwards community to you. Thank you so much for being a voice for us and for this community. It takes a lot of balls to do what you did, and we commend you on that.
Thank you.
No worries. Well, have a wonderful evening, and I will see you on the internet.
All right. See you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.